You are now listening to FNB Radio.
And welcome to FNB Radio. My name is Lindsay Collins, and I am your host. If you're one of the beautiful, beautiful people who bought a ticket to my breakfast pop-up, lovingly known as Effin Breakfast, by Counterculture on March 9th at the Counterculture Training Center, I'm just getting all the details right. It's 10 o'clock in the morning on March 9th on Spring Street. Look at that. Look how I'm retaining all of the information. I've had a week to practice, and practice I have. I got all the details. I've nailed it all down. And there's only a few tickets left. I think the last time I checked, there was like 6 tickets left. So grab a ticket. If your name is written on a ticket in the stars and you haven't gotten one yet, grab one so we can just have you at the table. It's going to be amazing. My guest is Hannah Marie Welton of Welton's Tiny Bake Shop, an actual pastry idol. I mean, she is the Taylor Swift of baked goods. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. She's amazing. She's going to be the guest for the live podcast. I'm going to make you breakfast and a little dessert. It's going to be 2 courses. So you're going to get a classic Effin breakfast. You're going to get Counterculture coffee while you're there. And you're also going to be sent home with a Counterculture tote filled with Counterculture coffee. So it's going to be amazing. Oh, and I'm making a coffee cake. I keep forgetting about the coffee cake because to me, something sweet for the road that's just good manners. Like, if you've ever been to my house, I won't let you leave without being like, here, take this container that I got from, name any one of the places I get takeout from. Anyone. I'm constantly like filling up my whole entire cabinet with takeout counter containers and then giving them all away because I save them, the little black ones with the clear plastic lid. And I'm always like, here, take this. I usually have something sweet or even just left. Sometimes it's like 3 meatballs. But I'm always sending you on the road, if I can, with something because it just makes me, I don't know, it's like one of the most Southern things that I do. I'm not really what anyone would describe as a Southern belle, but being raised in the South, I do feel the need to send you with something when you go. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that's not just a Southern thing. That's like kind of like just good manners, like people who are nice. They'll send you a little something for later, something to remember you by. You don't want to be forgotten, you know? So it's like maybe they left your event and they were like, what did I just do for 2 hours? Maybe they blacked out. Maybe they took a gummy before they came and they don't remember where they were. But then they look in their purse and they're like, there's a slab of coffee cake. And it's like all of a sudden it clicks into place. They're like, oh yeah, I just had the best time at Effin breakfast because I'm eating this coffee cake now. And I think in most places that I've been where the hospitality is extraordinary, you're walking out the door, you're saying your goodbyes, and someone hands you a small parcel. Maybe inside it's a little wedge of dessert that you didn't ask for, but you know you're going to want later when you're just in your pajamas at home and you have a little more room that you didn't have at the restaurant. You know what I mean? And at Per Se, they used to send you with these perfectly little boxed chocolates or some kind of sweet hazelnuts that were drageed, candied, and dusted with cocoa that you can snack on when you're drunk in the cab. When you're so drunk in the cab. There's just these little touches. The last time I ate at a Stadio, I didn't have room for dessert. And when they gave me my check, there was just one little thing of cheesecake. And it was just in a container, ready to go. And they were like, you're going to want to eat that later. We know it. And that's what I'm talking about. When I say I keep forgetting about saying that I'm making a coffee cake, it's because it was really supposed to be a surprise, but it is part of it. So you're going to get a cardamom, brown sugar, brown butter coffee cake that is classic. And I've talked about this coffee cake on this podcast before. So there's going to be some of that to go. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. So my point is get a ticket and experience this forget-me-not of hospitality. that I'm going to put in your counterculture coffee tote. For some reason, whenever I say tote, I'm just like, that word doesn't come out of my mouth well. But anyway, tote. It's like I can't say the last T. It's just like tote. Like I don't say the tote. Nobody wants to say tote bag. They all just say tote. And they just completely lop off the T. Did you bring your tote? Did I say the T or not? Blink twice if you thought I said the T. I didn't. I never said the T. You imagine that. Try it. Tote. You don't have to say it. Just say O. Anyway, that's enough promo. Is there a T on that? I don't know. Promo. There is on promote. But even that, it's kind of just blows away in the wind. The last T in promote. All right, that's enough. Anyway, the point is, if you do have an edible and come to Effin breakfast, might I suggest, and this is not sponsored because it's just one at a time sponsors, my God. But if you do like to have an edible every now and then, and you've struggled, like I have, through many public scenarios where you're like, oh, it's either too much or too little, I have a hot tip. And like I said, this is not sponsored, but it is tied to food because it's a team of Michelin star chefs that started this company. It's called Rose Delights. I know some of them. I don't know some of them. I know some of the restaurants they work at. It's a collection. I think even Brad Leone has done a recipe for these cannabis-infused gummies. But what's really great about them and what I found that I love the most about them is there's different moods, number one, which isn't like that revolutionary. If you dabble, you're like, yeah, there's uppers and downers and sleepy ones and some without THC at all, just for a little CBD, like just to calm you down if you're a psychopath. But some of them are just like, it's just such a dice roll with what the outcome is going to be. And what I like about Rose Delights is that they're small doses, like very small, like to the point that you're like, is this even doing anything? And that's how I like my edibles. I want to just be like unaware that my mood is enhanced. I don't want to be hit over the head with the fact that I'm like unable to make a sentence. Like sometimes I want that. And when I want that, it's like you just take 2 or 3 or whatever you want. But they're just a really appropriately dosed, extremely high quality product. It's not that much more expensive than anything else that's out on the market. So check them out. I don't know. Like I said, this is not sponsored. This is just something I tried the past couple of weeks. And I've really, really loved them. And if you remember my podcast it's been several years now, but I was on Weed and Grub with Mary Jane and Mike Glazer. Their podcast is actually just finished its last season. So it's, RIP to the podcast. They're still alive and well. But I asked them about this specific thing because I was like, look, I like the idea of THC, especially in edible form, because I'm kind of past my smoking phase, if you will. But I was like, why am I like not having fun when I take edibles? And Mary Jane was so smart and she was like, you're just a low doser. And I think most people are actually. So if you struck out in the past and you're like, this is just, I don't need an additional panic attack. I can't even say the word panic attack. It makes me have a panic attack to think about having a panic attack. But I've had nothing but an incredible experience with Rose Delights. So check them out. I am going to link them in the show notes just because I want you to see what you think. But they don't even know that I exist. And they certainly don't sponsor the show. But, if you smoke it, they will come. Or in this case, it's just a gummy. Yeah. And if you're listening and you're not, however old you have to be to have weed gummies, I don't even know what the law is, honestly, then don't do it. Okay? That's all I'll say about that. What do the alcohol companies say? They're just like, please enjoy responsibly. That's what I want you to do. Very, very, very high quality product. And they've been a part of some of my most favorite experiences recently. Oddly enough, they came in the very day of Tara Darling's birthday party. And I honestly can't remember, maybe it's all the gummies, but I can't remember if I talked about this in detail on the last podcast, but going to the Starlight Lounge, the Burgundy Lounge specifically, on top of the Starlight, which is a motel here in North Charleston. And I go to this motel all the time. I record my client's podcast. Shout out to Haley Lowe Finnell. She's incredible. Her podcast is called House Guest, and we record there probably once a month. So I'm there all the time, and it's just the most wonderful place. But I have yet to go and hang out after dark. And so for Tara's birthday, these gummies from Rose Delights happened to come in that same exact day. And I was like, I'm going to try them. I'm going to try them because it just says high energy and fun. And I was like, I know I'm not going to drink because I don't drink. I just don't. And I've had so many great conversations, honestly, with very, very, very old friends, F&B friends. And I'm not going to out them here. I don't think they would even care. They were very open about how they don't drink anymore. But it was news to me. I ran into them this past weekend, and just through chatting, we were like talking about going out and how it's hard. Like, it's hard to just do anything anymore and like have fun with it. And I was like, I had the best time at the Starlight. I'm talking about, I felt like and I know this is like cliche because it's a historic inn that's been renovated to look like a period piece. Like you feel like you are back in time, like maybe in the 60s, 70s. But it's not just that. It was like the time was so electric. I was like, is this what it was like to be cool in the 70s? That's what it felt like. And I have been asking around and being like, is everybody going to the Starlight and like not talking about it because they don't want to blow it up? I feel like that might be what's happening. And I'm going to be I'm the whistleblower here, just letting everyone know that it's an absolutely incredible time. But we went on Saturday for Tara's birthday, and they had karaoke. And as soon as we walked upstairs, like it's so unassuming. You're just like, okay, this place looks kind of like empty. And then you go up the stairs. It was perfectly dark in there. The music was perfectly loud. It was so packed and electric. Like the vibe was so good. And it wasn't, this was my favorite part. It wasn't like full of hipsters or even people I knew. Some of the people I was like, who the hell are these people, in the best way? I was like, I'm so glad I don't know everyone here. Like that was the most intriguing part. I did know lots of people there because Tara's party was there and there was like the coolest group of people kind of hanging out, but there was also just people. It felt like I was in another city and I was like, whoa, now this is intriguing. This is fun. We danced so much. I sang karaoke. I had the absolute time of my life. I was like, this is the best party I've ever been to. And I wasn't using hyperbole. Like I haven't enjoyed myself at a party in, oh my God, maybe since I had kids, no joke. Like I have fun. I have pockets of fun where I'm like, what a great time. That was a great time. But there's usually some element of just like something that's hanging over me or like something that's stressing me out or something that I have to get back to or some awkward social interaction that I don't want to deal with. This had none of that. It was just pure party. And I don't know. I think it's just the magic of Tara Darling because she just brings that out in people. But and I can say this, I can speak for everybody that was there. Everyone had a good time. And it was just a pure, fun, very magical night that I will not soon forget. But I had also had one of those gummies. I had a couple other things. I was like enjoyed myself, but I didn't drink a single drop of alcohol. And I was talking about that with two very old friends, people I've known since I moved to this city in 2014. And one of them really caught me by surprise. He was like a beverage director. And he was like, yeah, I don't drink anymore. And I was like, are you serious? You don't? And he was telling me this as he was mixing up like vats of Negronis. Like he just so confidently and casually said it. And it wasn't like a thing. And I was like, man, I really love all the conversations I'm having around how people are like either just drinking way less or not at all. And still having like literally the time of their lives. Lives? The time of our lives. That's what we're having. So anyway, I just had so much fun. I was so comfy. It just in that perfect vibey place that you want to be in. And you're like, I wish I could stay in this place forever. And it never lasts. And I just stayed there all night until I was ready to go home. And then I went to sleep and was like, woke up with no hangover. It was incredible. So I can't recommend them enough. I won't say that they're responsible for my good time, the gummies that is, but I am saying that I've been going out without drinking for years. And something really just hit that night. It was just too fun. So I encourage you, if you're like, I don't know, if you've been having those kind of painful nights where you're like, why isn't going out fun anymore? Try taking alcohol out of the equation and see, not for like nobility, just see what your body does because I had such an amazing time. And also just the Starlight Burgundy Lounge. I kept looking around. I kept trying to get a read on the bartenders' faces and be like, is this the busiest night they've ever had? Or is this just every Saturday night for them? And I'm out of the loop. I feel like it's the latter. I feel like they're probably popping off every single weekend. They're like, Lindsay, you're just old and never leave your house. But I don't know because it seemed kind of like, you know, when you just feel like this, oh, this is different. Like something has shifted. Like this is now a place where things happen. That it's a place that hasn't been discovered yet. And I was talking to another friend of mine, and I was like, maybe I'm just re-entering my going out era because I've been a bit hermity for, I'd say, a good 12 years. I really waxed and waned for me where I was like, I'm either all the way out all the time or I'm just never out. And now I feel like I'm dipping a toe back into just having fun, just for the sake of having fun, because in a very real way, life has been very stressful. And it's not always a clear path to being like, oh, I want to let off some steam. And how do you do that? Especially when your life has been really busy or you're like not in the habit of going out. And so you like don't even know what to do. It can be actually really awkward to try to get back out there and figure out how it is that you have fun and what you actually even enjoy anymore. Because we change. We change so much. And I feel like I've changed so much. And as I'm getting ready for this party, Effin Breakfast, as well as Secret Show, because they're on the same day. So if you're coming to Secret Show, the password is, you got to text me and I'll tell you the password. But the password is, by the way, not to keep anyone out. The password is just a bit of silly theater and fun because, I don't know, I've just always wanted to have a password. There's like so few experiences in your life anymore where you're like, you need to know the password. That's like an ancient thing that doesn't happen. Everybody knows everything now. There's just nothing fun left to be discovered. And so I'm like, when there is a password, like it just feels like one little silly thing that can make you feel alive. So the password is DM me and I'll tell you. And then once you know the password, you can share it with literally anyone. And I hope you share it with everyone so that everyone comes, because now I can actually talk about the lineup, which is so exciting. It's incredible. Caro Anderson, Jeremy Croft, Lindsay Shorter. That's right. Lindsay Shorter is going to be showing photographs. Tim Hussey. Oh my God. Alumni of the podcast, an all-around superstar, is going to be putting up paintings. There's a sculptor, Nathalie Naylor. It's going to be incredible. I am so unbelievably excited, especially about my very, 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 very best bud, Mari Swarza, who's showing her art. And it's not what you think. If you're thinking it's comedy or Nameless Numberhead, spoiler alert, it's not. It's Mari's debut with showing her own art. And I'm so excited. We're calling it Skewerz two-erz. And it's just, it's going to be so fun. Secret Show is March 9th from 6 to 8, 6 to 9, 6 to 9. Yeah, 6 to 9. Come by. It's on Spring Street and it's going to be amazing. And if you already have tickets to Effin Breakfast, the show will already be hung. So you will get to be in and around and see all of the art. So don't feel like you have to come to both, but please come to both if you want. I just wanted to let the people know who have the tickets for Effin Breakfast that you'll get a sneak peek preview of the show because it'll be up and already hung during the event. So that's kind of a fun bonus. And then if you didn't get tickets to Effin Breakfast, but you still want to see the show, it's open to anyone as long as you know the password. And it's from 6 to 9 that same night, March 9th, Saturday. So come and have an espresso martini, a teeny tiny espresso martini. I'm going to make some snacks and it's going to be a party. But as I get leading up to this party, like with anything, once you set an event and you set a date and you have a deadline, like anxiety starts to really like, just like show up in a big way. And it starts to just easily try to take over your mind. And what I've found and what I just keep saying to myself and what's even outside of this event, like something that's been just echoing around in my head is this phrase. And it's just don't lose your nerve. Don't lose your nerve. That's it. I don't care who you are or what you're doing. If you're not doing an event at all, maybe it's just like picking up the phone and saying something to someone that you want to say. Don't lose your nerve. Maybe it's about putting yourself out there in a way you never have. Maybe it's about the confidence you have in yourself. Just don't lose your nerve. Shit's been weird. Like on a personal level, all kind of weird shit's been happening to me behind the scenes. And I'm like, that's the time when I start to be like, oh God, like, am I supposed to be gleaning something from this? Like, and the answer is no. It's all just noise. You can't look to the left. You can't look to the right. You have to just eyes on the prize. Don't lose your fucking nerve. Because as you get older, as time goes on, as the stakes get higher, you will start to lose your nerve if you don't actively try to not ever lose it. And this sounds like kind of like hard to pinpoint or like hard to talk about. It is kind of hard to even say because it's like, well, how do I do that? Well, guess what? If you never lose it, you don't have to find it again. You can just be fucking fearless. And if people are coming at you with their weird energy or their bullshit, like, or even your own mind is coming at you, showing you all the ways that things could go wrong or telling you like, this isn't going to work, don't listen to them and don't listen to yourself. Just be like, that's not the real me. I'm not going to lose my fucking nerve because that's all we have. Even if it's just going out, right? Even if you've been like, man, I just don't have fun doing it anymore. I don't know how to talk to people anymore. I don't like being in these social situations. I find myself changing. It's like, you know what? Yeah, we all are. Don't let it happen. Don't lose your nerve. Just stay fucking fearless. Because here's the reality. What do you have to lose? Nothing. Be bold. Do something that makes you feel like you're like kind of in too deep. Just like, that's where I like to keep myself. If I ever feel like I'm like really just like, man, things are good, I like to pile on some other shit that's too hard. And I like to keep the difficulty level a little bit out of my depth. And I recommend that you do the same because otherwise over time you'll just find yourself shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and being like, you won't even know who you are anymore. So that's my big soapbox moment for you as I like kind of try to quell my own anxiety into putting on 2 events in one day, into just doing a live event. I haven't done a live podcast in so long. Even putting out tickets feels vulnerable because you're like, oh God, like so many people have bought tickets and it's so reassuring, but it's also like, is it going to go well? Is anyone going to come? Are the eggs going to be perfectly jammy? I can assure you they will be because I haven't lost my fucking nerve. Okay. I'm not going to lose my effing nerve. And I hope you don't either. And maybe you're like sitting at home like, I don't know if I can go to an event I don't even know if I want to leave my house or talk to anyone. Get your nerve up. Put yourself out there in whatever that way that means to you. And don't be afraid to potentially look foolish, because guess what? That's always the risk, right? That's always the risk, but you cannot focus on that. You can only focus on the fact that it's going to be awesome. And even if it's not awesome, you're going to learn so much. Like, it's just going to be awesome. Learning is better than getting dumb. And I never want to get dumb. I'm trying to get smart. Remember that show? What a great title. I don't really remember. I feel like it was a spy, but I'm like, Get Smart. That's a great title. I love you. I'm so thankful to every single person that listens to the show. The show has been on the charts all week. For the last 2 weeks, actually, the show's been on the charts. And one of the things that I think about when I see that the show is on the charts, it's just a reminder to me that 95% of the battle is showing up, because that's kind of, most people just don't even get to the start line. So somehow through your incredible support, and through me just continuing to put this show out there, it continues to be recognized nationally in a way that is like still mind-blowing to me. There's only 250 spots in the nation for food podcasts, and mine is continually in that spot. And I don't say that to brag. I say that to be like, that's what's possible. You can be anything you want to be. So get out there, and thank you for listening, and thank you for always listening, and thank you for buying tickets, and thank you for being you. I love you. I'll see you next week. I'll see you at Secret Show. Oh my God. It's going to be so fun. And if you got a ticket to Effin Breakfast, I'll see you there. It's going to be really special. I think one thing I want to add to the whole experience is I might do a little egg demo, because a lot of people ask me about how to make them for themselves. So I'm like, I want people to actually take away something other than the amazing conversation with myself and Hannah Marie Welton of Welton's Tiny Bake Shop, the Taylor Swift of pastries. She's a legend. But maybe I'll do a little demo, teach you about eggs. We'll see. I love you. I'll see you next week. Bye. Bye.